Cosplayers, what's one cosplay you will never do again and why? Stormtrooper. It was custom made to fit me and I was so uncomfortable in it. It was hot and I couldn't see. I also would be lucky if I came out of it without cutting myself. Batman. Some kid pulled my cape and it took my helmet and back piece out. They were all one piece of armor and I couldn't put them back together. Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea. Everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos. And you hear haha I found you at least 800 times. Never again. Daredevil. I couldn't see it. Never again will I cosplay full anime plate armor. I went as Gilgamesh from Fate's Stay Night all 3D printed. 8 unrelenting hours trapped in a plastic cocoon. Skin unable to breathe. Pinching. Serious chafing. Huge welts and blisters all over and on the way home I turned in a funny way snapped went the armor and by that point I had enough. I took everything off, threw it in the nearest bin and made the remaining journey home barefoot in cycling shorts and a red cape. I dressed as Link and got the normal Sayo Hi Zelda, which I think is funny and laughed it off, but also got a lot of nerdy guys questioning me about my dedication to the Legend of Zelda. It like, Sayori not a true fan if you didn't play. Insert their fav Zelda game here. And if I stated that I have indeed played it, they would then question every detail about the game to sip over it. A girl could dress up as anyone and get harassed though honestly. One of the 300. I'll never be in that kind of shape again. Lord Business from the Lego movie, or actually any Lego character for that matter. The head was too heavy, and I could barely move. Edit. Okay, wow. I didn't quite expect this comment to get as much attention, but thank you for the gold. Nami from One Piece. It was a bikini top. Had a nip slip, which wasn't too bad, and a dude jumped in front of me, let me know, and covered me while I fixed it. The problem is that he then spent the next 2 days thanking me for the experience. Bro, one thank you is weird. 2 days? Edit. Oh, thanks for the gold. Graffiti skin tracer from Overwatch. Paint kept transferring from the gas mask onto my face and my mask was literally dripping water from my breathing. It was hot and stuffy and gross. Edit. I don't know how to add pics on mobile. Lame I know, but I'm pretty sure I have some far enough down my Instagram feed at Burnt Waffles Cosplay. Motoko from Ghost in the Shell in her sack full tech suit gear. Full bodysuit with Gore-Tex and ended up getting heat stroke in the first 30 minutes. Haven't worn it since. Edit. Cosplay tax for those asking. Not at my desktop, so sorry for the low res. Master Chief. Every Halloween at school I would wear an over-the-top costume and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond. So I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. Only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. So I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me at the end of the day. Also my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year I went as a Vault Dweller and I could actually move and stuff. Faye Valentine for Cowboy Bebop. Not because of awkward guy comments, but because of other lady cosplayers that would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension. Professor X. The only reason I chose it was because I had torn my LCL and still wanted to attend the event, so I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Princess Zelda. I got a lot of compliments, but also an uncomfortable number of guys kept trying to flirt with me. Might have been even weirder if I wasn't a straight dude. Snow White. I wore it to a major comic convention and people would not let me walk. Parents were literally shoving their children into my arms and making me take pictures with their kids. Kids were flocking to me, only nice part, and parents were pushing each other around to take a pic with me and their child first. I was trying to take the shuttle to the convention and I had a small crowd around me that were barely shift so I could get into the shuttle. My boyfriend at the time had to literally yank me and run away into the shuttle because we almost missed it. The same thing proceeded to happen in the shuttle, off the shuttle and attempting to walk to the convention. And at the convention, after 2 more hours of this I demanded we go back to the hotel so I could change and actually enjoy the convention. The worst part was people shouting, "IT's Cinderella. IT's Sleeping Beauty. No, people know I'm Snow White, dang it." Darth Vader. Wore it for years in 2-hour stints. Vision is awful and zero skin is shown anywhere so it's hot. Real hot. Lots of wiring for lights and sound mean there's always something that can, and does, go wrong. Lots of kids coming up and randomly pressing buttons on the chest. Plus the cape is hard to control. Now I keep him permanently displayed on a 6 feet 5 inches mannequin. Edit. Clarified that this is not the wrestler by adding Darth. I dressed up in a pun costume that was a mix between Inspector Gadget and a go-go dancer. I was go-go Gadget. I had neon fishnets, string lights in my trench coat, light up glasses, and all these other rave gadgets. I wouldn't do it again, because wearing heelys for hours tore up my feet. Edit. Holy it, this blew up. I went to work and came back to all this. Most of you want to see the costume. I didn't get many pictures, but here's a decent one. Shadow the Hedgehog. It was a mistake and I don't think I need to explain further. Edit. Thanks for the gold. And no, I didn't do blackface for those wondering. With Dalmaka, I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second. And the body paint tattoos were always rubbing off cause of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again. Charlie Chaplin. He's easily mistaken for another guy. Edit. Chaplin not Chaplin. Edna. From The Incredibles. I am a short gothic lady and at the time had the same haircut as her. Went as her for a Halloween party and it's my nickname ever since. Especially when I'm angry. I ducking hate it. Edit. OMG, my first popular comment is about my nickname and I'm freaking out. Also, I hate it because I also see the similarities between us and it makes me mad because I wanted to be Violet when the movie came out. Thanks Reddit. Recruit from Rainbow Six Siege. Everyone thought I was a terrorist and had to leave. Ariel. I love The Little Mermaid and I love the costume I made for her mermaid form. But it's just been a cosplay that creeps have ruined for me. I literally got to the point of having to pose aid my bikini top to my chest and wear pasties in case someone tried to rip it off. I have been groped, had hands stuck down the front and back of my costume, been kissed, and have heard all of the sea-related dirty jokes in existence. I officially decided to stop after one incident at a local convention, where someone was trying to pull off my top and I slapped him hard enough for him to be thrown off balance. He fell into the water feature and hit his head. Police had to be called to figure out if it was self-defense or assault. I hung up my seashell bra and tail after that day. Edit. Wow. This blew up more than I was expecting. Thank you all so much for your concern and support. To those asking, no, I didn't press charges. I didn't have the time or money to invest in it. And I was so shaken up from injuring another person that I just wanted to forget it. I won't deny that I sometimes do regret not pursuing it. But it's really hard to think rationally after something like that. The guy was bleeding. I was pretty certain I broke my hand and his face. In the moment, I was scared that I'd be charged with assault. Irrational, I know, and that opening a claim against him would result in me facing the repercussions. I can't really distill down all the emotions and fears I experienced in the moment, but I do know that was my biggest concern, next to cost. Edit 2. Apparently this got featured on a Reddit post compilation video. I guess that's a new type of internet fame, but seriously, please don't throw people's comments into a video without consent. I was venting here, but now I'm worried that the person I mentioned might find it and track me down. Also, hi, dude man from YouTube. Proof that the person you interacted with was indeed me. Made a pretty great Solaire of Astora costume with real chainmail and armor and holy it after 6 hours of wearing that heavy ass metal my back, shoulders, and arms were duck and wrecked. Edit. Wow. First gold. Praise the sun. Hamilton. Turns out prop guns look like guns that are illegal, especially dueling pistols. Mystique. I was fully clothed and 17 and yet the internet was creepy. Would totally do Nigel Thornberry Sailor Moon again though. Edit. Holy it, I thought this comment would just disappear towards the bottom of the thread. Thank you. Also, if anyone wants to see my underage Mystique. Also, my favorite reaction to the Sailor Nigel cosplay I read was that one woman changed her husband's phone background to it while he was having a nap. No idea what happened when he woke up, but I like to imagine it was funny. The lusty Argonian maid. For obvious reasons. The costume was too much for me and now I'll live my life making inappropriate Todd Howard jokes, all while dressed as a seductive Argonian. Slenderman. I got really into the craze back in the day being a 6 feet 3 inches skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan car before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head nose, so through the morph suit you just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smooshed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end. Lucy Hartfilia from Fairy Tail. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem. It's pretty simple to be fair, but it had other issues. Firstly, I have small boobs and the character doesn't. The amount of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold. Edit. Clarity. Edit 2. Thank you all for showing support and our own experiences. You are a good bunch. I use a wheelchair and I was a Dalek one year. It was very popular and I had a lot of people wanting pictures but I couldn't fit through doorways and kept hitting people. Edit. THX for the gold. Even though you seem like a bot. Edit 2. Here are the only 2 pictures I could find. Picture 1. Picture 2. It was huge because my wheelchair was huge and it had to fit around all the parts of it, then taper up to be thinner at the top. It was a very fun craft project that took a lot of manpower and time. But in hindsight using cardboard was not the wisest idea because the second any moisture got on it, it lost a lot of its stiffness. Live and learn. Ryuk or any Shinigami in Death Note because it was a lot of work for people to just think you were from Kiss. Dr. Roxo. Nobody wants to see that. Kakakali. Real reason is while fun I have no place to put anything. No pockets. Nowhere to store cash ID. And if it's cold, forget about it. Also, seriously, nobody wants to see that. I kept it screen accurate. No kid friendly steps. And I wore it to age appropriate events. Edit. Okay, I may bring it out this coming year. Seems like there'd be enough of a positive response to warrant it. Any version of Harley Quinn. Nobody knows how to behave around Holly. Not thirsty Harley fanboys. Not Joker cosplayers that are a little too in character. Not neckbeards who want to quiz you on your Harley knowledge. Not other Harley cosplayers who have an issue with what version of Harley you picked or how accurate your cosplay is. Every Harley I've met has been given hell for their cosplay for one reason or another. I only did Lego Harley twice and got minimal it for it, but I've met multiple Suicide Squad Harleys who were literally suicide baited online and pushed around at cons by people who hated the character. Never again. Edit. Instead of just posting a cheesy thanks for the sylv, how about I expand on my experiences as a Harley cosplayer? I did 2 events as Holly, a convention as an attendee and Harley Quinn Day at a comic book shop as a paid performer. A cosplay was handmade, save for the wig, and lacking in Lego Harley's pads, but the colors were spot on and the wig was on point. At the con, not a whole lot of problems. I had a creepy Joker latch onto me all con, repeatedly getting up on my face and wrapping an arm around me, but at no point was I genuinely fearful due to the fact we were still in a crowd. I had a handful of people ask me which Harley I was, or go out of their way to critique my original design for her before I went on to explain that I was Harley from the Lego movie. At no point did I feel like I should shelf Harley. It wasn't that bad. I had a worse time that weekend when I cosplayed a podcast character that nobody was able to identify correctly. Working the event is what caused me to shelf the cosplay. I was working alongside 2 other Hollies, meeting and greeting people coming in for Harley Quinn merch and taking pictures. We were promised $20 each for 3 hours of our time. Wasn't god awful. Most cosplay performers do what they do for fun and will do certain events for free if they like the gig. In the email it said we could choose store credit or cash up front. Remember that? I got to talk to the other 2 Hollies between photo ops, and they started telling me horror stories. One mentioned she had been posted on cringe pages, which lead to people hunting her down to harass her and suicide bait her. All because she cosplayed Suicide Squad Holly, and people are quick to call Suicide Squad Hollies fake fans or say they're not real cosplayers. The other mentioned that she was touching up her makeup in the bathroom at con and someone cosplaying the original Holly grilled her, saying she'd never do Suicide Squad Holly because it's trashy. By the end of the event, the owner of the comic shop stiffed us. He gave us each $3.5 coupons to the shop. I had to pull up the email to prove he'd offered us cash. After all of that, I was done with Holly. It's a shame. I splurged on the wig. No face from Spirited Away. At least not in public. I was accused of racism, asked to leave the subway, then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population, so I can see why they thought I was being an asshole. What with the black cloak, black paint on my arms and the gold painted pebbles in my hands. Capital M. Bison. My costume caught on fire going too near a heat source and severely burned my legs, lower back, and butt. I once went to a Halo convention as Church from Red vs. Blue. Midway through the con, I had one of my friends pretend to kill me. I felt so bad for him because everyone was screaming at him, "You killed Church. You team killing ducted. If I ever do it again, I'll claim to be Epsilon instead." One year I did Pinata. It was fun as hell, but it was a layer of fabric, a layer of Eva foam, and then all the fabric on top. It was absolutely ducking roasting and next to impossible to see. Star Wars cosplays are frustrating to do, because no matter what character you are, you'll get some dippet who starts a conversation with you and decides to go in depth on why Disney ruined their childhood. If someone is expressing their passion for something, don't complain about the merits of it to them. No joke. I cosplayed as Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi Knight character in Rebels, and someone decided to stop me in a hallway at a convention and give what I can only describe as a lecture on why the Clone Wars is better than Rebels, while I was cosplaying a ducking Rebels character. Had the same thing happen when I did a Rogue One cosplay, Krennic, where someone tried to convince me that Revenge of the Sith is better, despite my repeated attempts to just say okay and bow out of the conversation. I'm working on a Mandalorian cosplay now and already dreading what I'll have to hear next. Let people enjoy things. To be purely because I have no boobs and it makes me too insecure, lol. I dress up as the guy from Ghost with a Ritty Pope costume and corpse paint for Halloween in Texas. Almost got my ass kicked by a drunk hick who was upset about the shooting in Pittsburgh that had just happened and overheard me making a joke about selling indulgences. Was a weird night. Goku. Back in college I had long curly hair, and a girl who was amused by it straightened it and used hairspray to get it to stick straight up. Then I used black spray on it, though it was so big, I would have been better off going Super Saiyan. After college I chopped my hair, so impossible to do it justice again. Sailor Moon. I felt beautiful and powerful, but the groping and upskirt pics, they think they're so sly, were repugnant. Edit. Blush. Thanks for all the kind words and sympathy. I don't have any fantastic pics, but this captures most of the details. It wasn't a cosplay, but a Halloween costume for a university party. I went as Two-Face as part of a group Halloween costume, Batman villains, and went all in on the liquid latex face makeup. It looked grotesque. I was distinctly proud of myself. There was a guy from my course that I thought I was definitely in with who was also at the party. It turns out that fake horror burns aren't exactly conducive to drunken MacLeods, and he ended up going off with someone whose costume consisted of a corset. a pair of booty shorts, and a set of cat ears. Me? Butter? No. Honestly, I'm never going to cosplay any guy character who doesn't have, like, plate armor or something. Binding did not go well for me, even with a legitimate binder made with folks who bind daily near daily in mind, and I like my lungs working. Pyramid head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move, see, eat, drink, literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt dress like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk, hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Not me, but a friend I knew did Harley Quinn one year. The same year as Suicide Squad actually, and she got groped by men asking for pictures with her since she did look very much like Margot Robbie and she is naturally attractive. Not only was I disgusted, but she was so upset and infuriated that she no longer wishes to cosplay in anything with even remote levels of sex appeal. Plague Doctor. The mask bent and the goggles fogged up. Fell way too many times. I tried 3D printing an entire Iron Man armor. Took forever to get just the arms and they look terrible. Edit. Welp. This took off. If anyone comes across my post, this is what the final product looks like. I should point out that the forearms on the left of the last picture are glued together. So that's the final product. Vash the Stampede. Whole one of my favorite characters of all time. The hair takes way too long to get right. I don't use wigs. Plus I lost the gun prop I made and I don't feel like making a new one. I dressed up as Robot Unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy. Also glitter everywhere. Misa from Death Note. No one knew who I was supposed to be. Very cold cosplay and early spiring. When I was 22, I was in great shape and decided to wear a Spider-Man costume for our Halloween bar crawl. It was, very form-fitting. I had over half a dozen middle-aged women grab at my crotch. Edit. I'm aware that's blatant harassment, and under no circumstances, male or female, is it okay to lay hands on another person in that manner. However, it really didn't bother me, at least not on a deep emotional level. I was 22 and active duty in the Marine Corps infantry, so maybe my mental fortitude was different than most. All that being said, however, I did take it as a life lesson. Having this experience opened my eyes even further to what a lot of women go through. From that point on I have changed how I approach and talk to women. Unfortunately it took that experience for me to open my eyes, but I guess in my defense, at 22 being active duty since I was 19, and being the biggest loser in my high school, my romantic experience was nil back then. However, my mother raised me to respect all women. I dressed up as Bender from Futurama 3 years in a row, but I don't think I will ever do it again because it was such a pain in the ass to see. Here's a picture of me in costume, and I could literally only see out of the 2 tiny holes I made in the eyes. I could probably figure something out, but I'm too lazy for that, and the way I would make the head was pretty easy. Plus, since the bottom part was just long johns, you could see the outline of my junk sometimes, and I had a drunk gay guy grab it at a party because of that. Junkrat. Never again. The one time I went, I had my best buddy as Lucio. I mean, the cosplay worked perfectly. I have a prosthetic hand, amputee struggles XD, have a British accent, it sounds Australian enough if I try, and I stood at 6'3". My buddy had to keep people from touching my arm and asking if it was real. One time, I got so annoyed that I just took it off and waved my stump. Plus, the spray paint for the prosthetic was a pain to scrub off, and the wig was very itchy, though there was a group there with various other Overwatch characters and we had fun taking photos.